Hello, guys, and welcome to the DPC. Yeah, of course, to the DPC, to the Winter Tour, to the SA Winter Tour. We're here with the Division 1 games of SA. Always excited to watch these games, and unfortunately, last game, well, unfortunately for me, rather, really happy for Bowie, really happy for Kips. Hokori got stopped. And let's be honest, it's easy, or we could say it was a draft issue. There were some issues there, but NoPing just looked like the better team by a long shot. I mean, from their rotations to their playstyle, NoPing is just looking really good. They even exceeded my expectations. So I thought they were going to look pretty good. So that's good on one hand. But they kind of crushed Hokori in that game.
I think this is something I wanted to talk about eventually, but I guess I'll say it. Like, when TI ended, and I'm a very big friend with NoPing's coach, which used to be SG's coach, he actually spent 7 weeks of his time literally looking SCA, CIS, Europe for players. And obviously it's very hard to bring known players to SA. But what he actually focused way more than skill is actually mentality. So when I watch Monster play, and he is, the player that didn't come from SA, that's NoPing, I cast 7 games of his this week. And this guy is insane. I don't know why he was not, maybe he actually never got into the right team. But seeing this guy play, he never loses his lanes. He always rotates perfectly. He's fearless. He has a wide hero pool. We were talking about analog a lot, but I think this guy is one of the things that make this team what it is right now.
Okay. That's high praise, dude. I mean, I think in that game we saw a glimpse of it. But to be honest, to me, it seemed like almost every position of NoPing was just better than every position of Hokori, really. Richie SeekNStrike and Lacoste were pointing out a couple of the things in the laning stage I thought was very clear. They went for the touch lane, which I was very happy with, but I didn't think they played it that well. I didn't see them abusing the Sanking at all, despite his weak level 1. Yeah, it was not the best performance.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that I saw, not sure if Kips agrees with me, is that you go for this PA knowing you're gonna be against the Sand King Mirana, right? Because it was their 4th pick of the second phase. And there's usually 3 ways I see people dealing with a lane like that. You either go for a carry like Spectre or something that's very bulky. You go for a safe hero like Oracle or Abaddon, or you get this fat support 5 that can tank the arrows and just trade really well. So the resources are not used on the carry. But, they didn't try to use the Tusk as the Ogre, in my analogy, and they went PA. So I think they kind of underestimated that lane, and I think they got heavily punished.
Yeah, I would agree. What do you think, Kips? Of this opener, I was going to say. They repeat the IO Luna. Did you like it last game? I mean, it looked really good last game, so...
Yeah, and it's very hard to stop this duo off in the lane in general. I think we saw the demonstration of that in the previous game. And what I think that we see Hokori do here now is at the very least make sure that for these mid-game fights they can properly peel the IO off the Luna. The heroes that had to do that the previous game, the Tusk and the Pangolier, were both not in a position where they could focus down that IO whatsoever. And besides, they don't really offer that much burst damage. This time they have a lot of reach. This time they have a lot of magical burst damage. And they'll actually be able to peel that IO off the Luna and make sure that they can kill her last in these team fights, because that's what we saw in the previous game, where the Luna has an early BKB, same time as the Razor. He goes and stands there, he links somebody, and then he's like, well, this is over as soon as my BKB is over, huh? The IO needs to die in that time frame. So they're making sure that they can do that this time.
Yeah, I want to see Hokori focus a little bit more on the lanes, because the casters talked about and we talked about, I don't feel like Hokori had a mid game, even though that was the focus of their draft last time. And I think that heavily comes from the fact that they just got stomped in lane. So let's go very comfortable, and also let's not try things that are super unstable like PA is. I think that hero, you have to be very confident in the lane to go PA, and that was definitely not an easy PA lane in my opinion.
I think it showed. The much earlier concentration as well, Mr. Jeans, right? Last time they gave him last pick, it was okay. I don't think it had the impact. Like, you talked to Kips that the Razor had to kind of take over the game, right? And it didn't do badly, but it didn't really take over the game as we expected.
No, definitely not. And I think that Tiny got away with way more than he was supposed to as well.
Yeah. So this time, they're instead putting Hokori's mid laner much earlier. Yeah, 4th pick, so you're still protecting him, still fine. But that way, you actually get to reveal your carry a bit later and might even get a good lane against off lane and against the carry, if you're lucky. Like a good core to core and a good lane against the off lane. More concentration on Yuma instead.
5 seconds remaining.
So, actually, like Avo, you definitely know these players a little bit more than I do. I remember in the past Mariano playing a lot of offlane Void Spirit. Do you think that's something Vitaly also does? Because his Void Spirit is quite early, and it's not unusual to go for a core when you do not like your mid when you don't have overall aspect. But it seems very hasty, in my opinion.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
there's a reasoning. That's interesting. So Hokori is actually one of the few teams that was running consistently offlane Alchemist, to be honest. With usually they run it with Bristleback mid or something like that. So there are options for Alk, right? Like this is not just it seems very obvious there's gonna be a carry Alk, but like either or, weird, weird that you'd pick this. Doesn't seem like the most common pick.
This is super weird because this hero is very, very, very forgotten. So whether this is gonna be offlane mid or carrier support, I guess it's very likely to be a core because we do see the Ogre and the Weaver. But I'm not confident. This kind of screams just give me my favorite carry, you know? It doesn't scream a strategy or something more complex.
You can transition the Alk into physical burst though, right? If you go for an armored build-up and then you move into a fast blink dagger, something like that. I think we've even seen medallions and that kind of stuff in the past. You can definitely deliver targeted mid-game burst and a lot of minus armor from your acid spray if you want to go that way. We don't see alchemists do this very often, but it is an option.
It is, and I guess they do have the Weaver, so I guess that lane has a lot of minus armor when you combine the bugs with the acid spray. It's just very unique and not common at all in this meta. So I wonder if they're onto something that's like incredible and will explode, or if it's gonna be underwhelming. But it's definitely something different. It is a tanky boy, so maybe if they were afraid of, I mean, I guess the tanking run lane was not possible. But I want to see what happens. I'm very confused. I'm still not digesting this alchemist pick.
So NoPing is thinking the same things I was, which is offlane Alk plus carry that takes advantage of Ags, right? Which is why they banned the Gyro. The two carries that usually get paired with the Alk in this logic are Gyro and the Monkey King. Of the two carries we've seen like highest value in this regard. There are a couple other options, but those are the ones that benefit the most. Bristleback is my personal favorite, to be honest. But usually they play it mid.
Yeah, and they do have the Void Spirit already, which is another classic combination with the Alchemist, but one that I've often see fall pretty flat because it puts so much pressure over on that Void Spirit.
What?
And now,
is that one of the carries that you were expecting, Avo?
Okay, I mean, look, they banned the two carries I was expecting, right? So maybe that.
True.
I mean, the AM. Have you guys seen the new Ags build that people are building on the AM these days?
I have.
Ooh, I haven't. Educate me.
So you want to? I can just say it. The idea is that you like play much more of a split pusher and actually like almost like the Luna back with like Luna Shadow Demon, where you like just throw the illusions at towers, and you are just a nuisance all over the map rather than like the anti-mage that farms all over the map. It's possible, honestly, this game. Kind of.
I just don't see how they avoid the exact same fate as they had the previous game, where RDO and King Jungles just run at their towers and they run around like chickens. Like, are you going to do damage? Are you going to do damage? No, we're all dying already.
Yeah, like when I remember what I remember from the first game is you have this Luna Io that is like this massive force that has a super early power spike, and instead of trying to crush that, you go Pangolier, which is not a strong laner. And I also felt like the Pangolier didn't play high tempo. Then you actually put an Alk, which can be even slower and lower impact until you have an Egg. So I'm actually more scared for Hokori than I was in game one. I don't know. I'm going NoPing all the way.
Kips?
Yeah, same kind of idea. We were talking about shoring up that lane, and instead it feels weaker than before. They have some tools to chase after the IO, especially if they get to actually empower that Void Spirit. But ultimately, I don't see them getting to those items.
Well, I usually don't side with people, but I side with you guys. I really don't want to. I want to see Hokori's draft work, but it's a tall order. We'll see, because they've done this a lot of times before, and it is their bread and butter. We'll see if it works out. But to cast this wonderful encounter, we have two great casters. It's going to be SeekNStrike and Lacoste.
Thank you, Avo. Oof. It sounded more, like they were, the bedside manner of the panel, right, was really put to the test there as they were kind of describing Hokori's hopes here, Lacoste. Are you a little bit more optimistic about this Link Shard AM, or are you kind of in their camp as well?
I mean, if they can drag the game, but at least they have a hero that can move around more freely from the mid lane, and that's Void Spirit compared to Razor. Like, you have 2 Astral Step charges, Dissimulate, you can be a bit more active, but then again, you have Alchemist and Anti-Mage. That's a big question mark for me. Like, I would prefer if it was something else. Panel discussed about, like, which heroes are good with the offlane Alchemist, something that we didn't see too often recently, like even during TI. Maybe someone played it rings a bell, but I don't remember it being good. So yeah, Gyro was banned out, Bristleback was banned out. I just wanted them to get something that, has a bit more impact early on. That is not like, I'm going to farm a Battle Fury, I'm going to farm my Manta style. You need to hit your timings. And Luna against AM, like Luna just takes your tower, your map shrinks. There's catch is also okay. Like, you have Rubik with the instant lift, the Centaur with the stun, Storm Spirit with the zip. Yeah, it's just... I think it's going to be a rough one once again for them. But the good thing they got going is they have 2 heroes with the big bellies. We have Ogre and we have Alchemist. So I'm looking forward to it.
The 2 Ogres, actually, right?
Yeah.
I guess 3 if you count Ogre as 2. Ogre Magi as 2, I suppose.
Nah, it's 1 body, 2 heads. Like, that's why he's so smart.
It's true. Yeah, everyone knows, Ogre Magi definitely renowned for that 15 base int and 2.5 game per level, despite being an int hero. Very, very smart. I mean, who knows? I could foresee possibly a game where, this Alkaline, it kind of has its strengths. The minus armor into all that sustain perhaps might be able to snipe a kill or get a little bit of a better start than they were last time. You gift that Ags over to AM, and he's able to actually join these fights. This Blink Fragment Ags is a lot more powerful, super, super annoying. It gives this team a lot more poke and prod, which they definitely lack. Void Spirit, he's kind of an all-in or not hero. AM also kind of all-in or not, and the Ags allows you to play a little bit of a different game. Whether or not he'll farm at Lacoste, that's going to be the true test here for Hokori.
Okay, so, like, I see what he has in Quick Buy. It's Vanguard, so he does not want to go for farming build. We'll still need some kind of mana sustain, because you're gonna run out of mana. You can't be blinking between the camps. Not sure how he's gonna like get the mana. I don't mind, like, usually when he was paired up with Magnus, you would go for either Mask of Madness or Echo Saber. Echo Saber gives you a bit more tankiness. It gives you that mana region that you need to jump in between the camps. This time around, if he decides to go just for this, you don't have enough mana. Like, this is just straight up bad.
You know what I'd like to see? And I'm going to invoke a name that probably is going to cause a lot of viewers to shudder, and maybe even you. But Slasher's Way actually did an offlane AM. And the build was it was Vanguard first, and then Treads, and then Echo Saber. And I actually think that would solve the mana issues, allow you to fight super early. I would have preferred to see that other than the,
I'm fine.
The Yasha
it's a slow
Manta.
double mana burn, and you get tanky just by having early power Treads plus that Echo Saber. And I guess the whole plan is to get this Anti-Mage online as quickly as possible with the Alchemist, giving him free Ags. One thing that Hokori has, which they didn't have in the previous one, is a Spirit Vessel carrier. And on Weaver, you want to buy it as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And I actually think, because it was a 7th pick Alchemist, as I recall, they had the 1-2 in the second phase. or the 2-3 in the second phase, I suppose, more accurately. I think at that stage that they saw both supports, right? They saw it was a Rubik and Wisp support, neither of which really like building an Urn. No cores in the game other than like a Necro, really like building Urn or Vessel. So, you know, there's room to grow for this Alchemist if it does get into the late game, right? He's not super heavily countered, and I think that's another small plus point about this draft for Hokori. Is so far not so bad, really. AM is struggling a bit in this lane. It wasn't the Slardar like you or I suspected it might have been last pick to counter the AM, but the Centaur is not much of a nicer pick, is he?
No, he still puts a lot of pressure. One of the reasons why they decided to ban out Legion Commander, because there are a couple of heroes, 3 in my book, that do well against AM in the lane, because you need some kind of ability to fight AM, and that's like Legion Commander with the passive. Like Slaughter is the best one in my opinion. Centaur can work. I remember Seb playing the offlane Monkey King against the same matchup. Mid lane, it's just Void Spirit things, tends to play a bit aggressive under the tower, nothing happens, fake hype.
Yeah, top lane though is where the action's going down, and in fact it's going to be 1-for-1 trade. First blood in favor of King Jungle's first, however, as Vitali will be able to trade away the Wisp, secondly. And that's real unfortunate, right? Because you want to get this Urn up ASAP. That first blood bonus could have gone a long way.
Oh, for sure. Like, sometimes it's all it takes for someone to snowball, and now Wisp comes back to the lane. El Misho, like, it's a 1-1-1 build, so there's a ton of kill potential from Weaver. And the minus armor that we talked about, the stacking, the acid spray. Like, it's super strong. It's -5 plus the swarm. It just continues to add up. What Hokori wants to do, possibly make some stacks, not necessarily for AM, because he's not gonna go for the Battle Fury build, but possibly for Alchemist, and they have really good heroes to take the stacks away from. Like Storm Spirit loves to be active early on, just Centaur parking himself with an earlier Vanguard. Like, what are you gonna do about it? So they need to be careful.
Here's the minus armor top. On the RDO, my goodness, it chews through him. They do clear the Swarm Beetle off of him and now look to turn and fight. But yeah, we saw that the RDO was full HP when they started that engagement, and they managed to get him down to just about 200. The drawback to this lane that I'm seeing, by the way, is whenever they end up throwing Acid Swarm and even sometimes the regular Swarm, sorry, Acid Spray and the Swarm.
Oh, you combine two abilities. I love it.
Yeah, Acid Swarm, whenever they throw down Acid Swarm, it does make it really easy for them, especially with Lunar Blessing, to just deny the range creep. So they haven't really gotten too many of those. King Jungles, this is like the 4th creep I've now seen him deny, so lots of denies in this top lane in favor of NoPing. It's going to go a long way towards kind of neutralizing the start of this Alch.
Hokori off to a good start. I think they adjusted a bit of the issues that they had in the previous game, where they have a Spirit Vessel carrier. They're not so weak in the lane. Bog's gonna die immediately, and they also have an active mid laner who just hit level 6, could potentially rotate to the top lane with it. Let's see if he decides to do so. Yeah, there we go, like level 6 bounty. This could be a big kill. Like Storm Spirit also has TP available, so if they are close to tower, he might also need to rotate. If he sees the Void Spirit, might decide to just go for it.
They just saw him now. They caught a glimpse of him, but a good split there. King Jungles is going to kite him around and use the tether to avoid a possible gank. Well played.
Nicely done. Meanwhile, Storm Spirit on the mid lane, getting some extra advantage. 43 CS sitting at the top. Pretty much having a good time. Soul Ring is also back in action for Storm Spirits. A bit more tankiness, a bit more mana to work with.
Yeah, kind of. It's a weird meta for Storm, right? For a while, the pub meta was just like stacking refreshers on him for manna regeneration, because I think that was the highest mana regen item in the game. Because you don't actually want to build too many mana items on this guy anymore with the percentage-based changes to Ball Lightning. You just run out too quick. So just items that give you mana regen or burst mana, like the Soul Ring, is actually the name of the game for him. So I think that's why Soul Ring especially has come into effect for him. I'm hoping that there's some Storm changes, though, because it feels weird that like you're not incentivized to get a big mana pool with this guy and zip across the map.
We'll see what he decides to go for this one. I like Orchid, just to have that silence against AM easily to kill Weaver. Big zip.
There he goes. Yeah, it's good damage as well onto the AM. He gets off the counter spell. Does not have a blink for 6 more seconds, though, Lacoste, so they can continue diving a little bit. They're going to go ahead and temper themselves,
They could have
however.
gone in with the Centaur. If he pops the Mango, 100 mana plus 3 stick charges would have enough for Stampede actually, and there we go. But
There's the
they're gonna
Stampede you're
use it
speaking
to run
about.
away. Bug
They
needs
need
to
to
die.
clear this
Now,
beetle.
ooh, actually dies.
A little bit too much damage over time. Kill as well going to exactly who they wanted to. Misho, he actually is going to be able to fill the first 2 charges in his urn with that kill, as he did get in range thanks to the move speed from Sakuchi. And he's going to not only scout the stacks here in the hard camp, but also block the Ancients from stacking any further.
This should get rewarded. Places observer ward behind the towers. That's a good one. Let's see if Rubik. Okay, gonna immediately get rewarded. It was a good attempt.
like-
So gotta give him credit. 4 out of 10.
And you know, I'm going to be the judge that goes a little bit higher, only because I like the play he made with the vision. He actually applied the urn charge, which didn't allow Analog to sip up thanks to the Bottle Crow. And actually, they are not going to be able to dive him. There's a good rotation from King Jungle, so Misha will be forced back. But that's both urn charges now used. So and actually,
step,
Mr.
dissimulate.
Gene's in some trouble. Yeah, he's only got Dissimulate ready and puts down a good Aether Remnant to prevent himself from
But
dying.
Alicia
Alicia-
gets the kill on Tio.
Yeah, that's pretty big. More charges for the urn now. His Analog is out of mana, has King Jungles here for some sustain. Soul Ring even used by Analog. Does kind of put him within a killing threshold, but it's a bit of a bait with a Wisp next to him.
Hokori doing a very good job this game. Just invading the triangle, putting out a bit more pressure on the map, and taking away pressure from the Alchemist. Like, this is exactly what they need to do. Both side lanes are actually kind of free. AM, bottom.
Yeah, great gank. Monster, he was a little bit too confident there. Yuma ended up burning his mana completely. Hit him with a Mana Void, but it's a Centaur, so he didn't really take all that much damage from it.
Not the
but was
smartest
not
guy.
expecting.
That Centaur, a lot of strength, but forgot to put any in the intelligence department. Top lane,
Yeah.
very hard for them to just kill on the top lane if Hokori doesn't feel like they want to take a fight. They run away. Luna is level 6, still keeping a point in case like they decide to dive underneath the tower, so Eclipse will be used. But other than that, like Alchemist is having a really good time, going straight into Aghanim Scepter. Like
Yeah,
first,
they're wasting no time.
yeah, apologies. First Aghanim Scepter needs to go for the Void Spirit. AM panel talked about how it's really good on AM as well, but you need to give him like the second one. Your Void Spirit will be the one. But considering the items that AM is going, they might, you know, shift things around now that I'm thinking about it. I would still prefer if it's Void Spirit, because jumping the backlines, having that instant silence against the Storm Spirit could make a lot of a difference.
That's a good point. I also kind of figured it was going to be going to the AM, only because that does enable him to show up in fights, right? And if you don't...
Yeah, he's still super fight ready with this kind of a build. Like, just by having a Vanguard, he's very hard to kill. They have serious lack of damage at the moment to kill AM with the full Vanguard.
Well, they're going to bring 4 heroes on over to try and deal with that lack of damage. They will be scouted, however, by Gardic, who scouts the Storm. Yuma has Blink and a level 2 counterspell ready to go, as they're going to go for the easier kill first, and that's definitely the Ogre. Ogre number 1 will fall.
Always take out the smartest one out of the equation.
Of course. Ogre number 2 is still farming away, though. He clears the wave top as Monster is going to be doing just Centaur things and tanking the tower. But he's going to TP down bottom, where they're going to look to fight it. Misho's here as well. They're going to look for the Wisp, remove the healing first, as the Stampede going to try and get him out of a tough situation, unfortunately. For the Wisp, they have lockdown for him. They got damage, and a nice kill there will repel that tier 1 tower push.
Meanwhile, on the top lane, Ogre just doing Ogre things. Position 5, trying to solo kill a Centaur with the Vanguard. Well, Centaur might overextend it here.
Yeah.
No boots on him, trying to kill the tower. They also use the glyph, can they get the deny? What a nice play from Hokori here.
Yeah, really, really well done. Was a bit shocked to see how much pressure that they wanted to put on that top tier 1 tower, especially because with the mid tier 1 still relatively healthy, it's hard to still invade the triangle. Normally that's the second tower you want to take if you're looking to make aggressive plays and prevent enemies from just, you know, accelerating farm and triangle, but seeing the top tier 1 tower go down first is very surprising.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you don't expect this tower to fall. It got denied. Some extra gold for Hokori. Centaur has a lot of damage return. He found the perfect item with the Chip West. Maybe they say, you know, it's enough. Kind of hard to kill that guy, but AM will continue farming. He also has one way to increase his farming, that's Bloodlust, something that we usually don't see on Ogres these days, but I guess because he's playing with AM, he just said, you know, screw it, I'll put 1 point in it to actually look like I'm doing something.
Yeah, I'm a support, guys,
yeah.
I promise.
Ignite's too
Yeah, Chip Fest-
powerful. If you ignite someone in the fight with the multicast, he's just straight up dead. Big stacks being farmed right now by Luna.
Yeah, and their analog as well is kind of contesting them in the triangle, so he's going to be making space elsewhere on the map for Luna to just peacefully farm this. Of course, assisted by a Wisp, she will clear these in no time flat. But still, Vitaly making really good progress on this first Acceptor. It's getting to about that time, Lacoste, where the team needs to decide, you know, and look at the pace of this game and decide who's going to get this first Acceptor.
I will see. We'll see. I'm putting my money for Void Spirit, because if you look at his item build, he's also going for Yule Scepter, which makes a lot of sense. He knows that Storm Spirit already showed he's going for Orchid, so with that he will have a way of dispelling the Orchid and also silencing the Storm Spirit. It's a lot of mind games happening when someone like shows what they're gonna go for.
It's so strange to see an AM and a Centaur both be not equally as tanky, of course, because what, like 4 strength gain? Yeah, 4.6 strength gain a level. Monster's going to be easily tanky. But this AM is also surprisingly not too far behind, especially with Strength Treads active. 1600 HP casually. It's a lot for an AM at this stage of the game. 10 armor? Oof, they do have damage issues for getting through this guy.
Also extra 25% magic resistance on the counter spell, block damage from Vanguard. AM should be fine. If he doesn't like super overextend, I don't think he should die in the next couple of minutes. I'd say 5 to 10 minutes he should be okay. Just play carefully.
There's the first Axe purchase. They're going to smoke off the back of this one as well, wasting no time. And it is Acceptor gifted to the Void Spirit, so he's got 2 charges now of Resonant Pulse, of course, and the Silence, which is going to be especially deadly for the Storm Spirit, especially if they can catch him like this. Smoke breaks, but they only find the Rubik, and they even have a Stampede to get him out of harm's way, so first smoke is not going to end up being too successful here.
They wanted a big kill from this. They wanted Storm most def. Delay that Orchid, and now Orchid is completed on the Storm Spirit. Seeing that first axe was given to the Void, his next item needs to be a BKB. I was thinking about, you know, getting the Lincoln Sphere, which could be a third option since you're playing into AM and you can't kill your whole team if you have no mana. Smoke coming out from NoPing.
Yeah, they're going to send Monster in to just tank a lot of aggro. He's not really taking all that much damage here, but now they're going to begin pumping in a little bit more of the magic damage. Yuma, though, is a little bit low here. Out comes the Eclipse as well from the Luna, and they will be able to pick off the AM to start off the fight. Next up is Void Spirit as he gets controlled as well, thanks to the Electric Vortex. Analog zips after Garda. King Jungle's even relocating aggressively to make sure they could get the kill. And it's 4 dead as Hokori, they overextend slightly.
Slightly? I mean, this is straight up game losing for them, unfortunately, because they went all in on a Centaur who has full hood, Vanguard, and just chipped West. Every time they hit him, they're gonna be like half HP once they're done, even if they kill him. And the big part was no one else was showing. They have no vision whatsoever, NoPing smoked from behind, and also like was able to connect. Also Storm Spirit with the double damage was sitting at 250 per attack. So kind of hard to fight into that with Lunar's Blessing, of course, and the DD that he had. Ooh,
Everyone
man.
showing up for NoPing. They just connected so beautifully there. Too much damage, and they were surprised by Orchid as well, right? They kind of had their big item timing, and they forgot about the Storm's first item timing, seemingly.
This is something that happened in the previous season, Dota historically, where teams they know how to play the lanes. This game, Hokori, they played the lanes really well, and then one failed gank on a Storm Spirit, one kind of a bad smoke, overextension, and suddenly they're 4k down. Inconsistency, that's the problem. Well, these guys, they know how to play Dota. For us, it's easy to see, because we see the whole map and all the viewers, but for them, sometimes the map is black, you can't see what's happening, and then you make a wrong decision. Also, one of the better heroes against Fever, something that I really love to see as a response, is Rubik. You see Sanking, you see Fever, pick Rubik, you're gonna have a really good time in the game, stealing that Shikuchi, and he's not going for any kind of greedy build, which I really like. Just decided to max out telekinesis, lower the cooldown, increase the duration, and also has a Yule Scepter, so one way to defend himself against the silences as well. Remove the ignite. I think this Rubik's doing a pretty good job right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It can be kind of hard, especially when you pick Rubik and there's decent spells to steal for sure. Ignite's amazing as Hold That Thought.
Reload mid.
They break the smoke first onto the Void Spirit, and he's just going to double Astral Step away rather than take a death. Although, yeah, Vitali is currently in the triangle. They had vision of him thanks to the Sakuchi and Rubik, but won't be able to follow up for the kill. Very quickly, actually, something I wanted to point out is this Alk is going immediately into the second Ags.
That's their big timing. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
anti-mage who like needs to get it, and then they fight. Because if I look anyone else who could possibly benefit from it, like Beaver, yeah, it sounds fine, but it's not that game-winning. Could be, you know, but in this situation, it's not so much about the Ags, like what you get from it, but it's also about the stats, and you want to boost your AM in any way you can. And this is the problem that I talked about, like AM sitting at the 120 mana, he uses another blink, he's completely out of mana, can't join a fight.
Quick kill there onto the Weaver with the Orchid as he was trying to contest vision around the Roche pit. Oh, they're going to get the kill onto AM's Courier for free. Luckily, he didn't have any of the ultimate orbs. He's gotten the quick buy purchased on it, so not really too big of a loss. But it looks like NoPing are going to head into the Roche pit for attempt number 1. And Hokori moving over to the other side of the map. They've got no interest in contesting this one.
They can't do
The issue
anything
I always
about it.
see with Alchemist going for a straight-up second Ag Scepter is that he has basically nothing then on your offlaner.
I would
right?
love him to pick up like a small item, medallion.
Yeah.
Medallion sounds good, and then you have some extra mana regen, like you have a bit more synergy between the acid spray, medallion, swarm, so they could die to physical damage. It's done. AM gets the Aghanim Scepter called Blink Fragment, has 3 charges, very cool ability, and look how tanky he is. But yeah, maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe I got a bit of a misread because AM was running low on mana, and that Aghanim Scepter actually gives him quite a bit of a mana pool. So not a bad idea.
Does the smoke as they're trying to really find their way themselves into this fight. Ooh, Analog, he just barely avoids the Resonant Pulse Silence, and actually, they land a stun to the Void Spirit. He's going to be silenced and basically 100-0. He gets off the Yule Scepter, though, as Rubik still in the fight. Big ol' Mana Void, not enough damage, but another 5-man silence out at least allows Mr. Jeans to get out of this skirmish. And now they're looking to try and turn this one. The Swarm is going to scout 3 enemy heroes up on the high ground. Zardio is going to pop the BKB, and the Eclipse look to turn and fight. They will burst through the Alchemist, but they've got control onto Analog as he's zipped into the 8th Remnant. Stuns will follow suit. That's a 1-for-1 trade, but they get the Aegis. Although AM in trouble. They catch him here in the river, but no, they don't. He's going to get another blink out.
It looked really good. If they managed to kill Void Spirit, they would have been pretty big. Oh, nice initiation there.
Going in again. They want to get through Monster, but once again, Mr. Jeans tanky a bit, but he's so tanky. Another Yule Scepter up into the air, and he's still alive. Finally, he will drop, but here goes Yuma, and he's going to be able to tank through this silence relatively easily by the looks of it. Has another blink, and he's out and away. So this AM, a little bit too tanky for NoPing to actually take down, even as 4. Cost them quite a bit, though, as they end up losing Mr. Jeans in that engagement.
It was good. I think Hokori did a very good job. Void Spirit surviving on 20% HP, getting a 5-man Resonant Pulse, getting out with all that damage absorbed, using the regeneration, coming back into the fight. But there needed to be some kind of follow-up, Relo, on Alchemist. Yeah, this Alchemist, he just gave out 2 Aghanim Scepters, which means that he's not tanky at all.
No. Yeah, no, he's not. Now he's going to be going for the medallion, as you suggested. Sometimes you see drums or blink dagger in between the first and Ag Scepter, at least when the strat used to be a little bit more commonplace. Because when teams did end up doing this, it feels like an all or nothing for your Alk. You don't really have much of an offlaner. He can't really tank that much and doesn't have a whole lot of utility in fights. We're starting to see that play out a little bit. And Hokori, they're still actually playing pretty aggressively here as they're going and still continuing to fight around this ward. They at least get rid of it.
Blink Fragment, very annoying to play into. Like, you can also use Counter Spell, it replicates on the illusion, which is cool. Once the Manta style is like up, there's gonna be so many illusions, but they also have decent amount of AoE. You have Rubik with the Fate Bolt, you have Luna with the AoE clear. Same goes for a Centaur. He pops 1 double edge. Like, those illusions are gonna disappear. I talked about the itemization on the Storm Spirit before we started I mean, he's just going for the same thing that I mentioned. Like, it needs to be Orchid, second item needs to be a BKB, and then going into Lincoln Sphere so that he has that defense mechanism against Mana Void.
Yeah, especially he cannot be just a ticking time bomb for his team. That's always the threat, right? A Storm Spirit zips a little bit too far in, catches a stun unexpectedly. All of a sudden, there's 6 AMs hitting him, and a big old Mana Void to basically kill anyone else right next to him is always a big threat. So Lincoln's very, very important for him.
Actually decided to go for Lincoln's as the second item. Like, he was thinking about it, you know, Ogre Axe. We'll see how it... Because he picked up the Aegis in the previous fight, so whenever you do that, you could change your item build, go for something more greedy. Hokori invading triangle.
Yeah, it was really aggressive out from Yuma, and they did at least get out the Stampede. Monster jumps back in. Of course, they can't really kill him without all focusing on him. He's just way too tanky. He's got Van Hood, and of course, Retaliate Max, so usually you end up killing yourself before you get through him. But getting out the Stampede as Hokori continue to kind of at least continue being aggressive around the map. I really like how they're still playing this.
AM is no joke. Like, at this point, he has a free Aghanim Scepter upgrade. He also decided to go for a more of a fight-oriented build. Has a Bloodlust, which is level 2 at this point, so that means that's going to increase his farm as well. And now he doesn't have that many mana problems. I mean, he's also sitting next to Ogre, who has that Ring of Basti, so that helps, but overall, like, his mana pool is only gonna increase, gonna get easier. Level 14 compared to Luna, who's about to crack 16.
Yeah, he's not doing too poorly at all. Of course, something that's always good good to remember about
It's inflated.
Yeah, of course. But also something that's important to remember about Alchemist Axe is when you do gift it, normally when you eat an Axe Scepter, hold that thought. Oh, they missed the Hoof Stomp, so Yuma's just gonna be able to walk away. I think they're looking for fights elsewhere. NoPing they're reluctant to hold or to give up control of the triangle, so they're just showing a bunch of heroes. But to finish my point very quickly, normally you buy Ag Scepter, you buy Ag's Blessing, you eat it, you lose the stats it gives you. But when it's gifted by an alchemist, you keep all those 10 stats, which can go a long way. And of course the HP and mana you get from the point booster. So that's another reason why this AM is a bit tankier than you might suspect if you just look at his item build.
Yeah, exactly. And what did I just notice? Yeah, Luna's these days they tend to buy Aghanim Shard for themselves. They're like, it's something that carry players don't like to buy, but in Luna I think it's justified considering what it gives, like how it synergizes, and then going for either like Crystallis into one big item. Seems like Luna this time around will decide to actually finish off a full Daedalus.
Yeah, Kardik just in the trees continuing to push. TP's now coming from Hokori. I don't know if RDO scouted those or not, but he's at a BKB. Pretty willing to fight. Ooh, nice dodge there, Mr. Jeans. He missed the 8th Remnant, but he's going to dodge the Hoof Stomp as well. From behind, though, NoPing are looking to cut off the next creep wave, as well as anyone else looking to jump on in. It's another nice part about the AM Shard. You can just use it for the vision, just to not jump in completely blind. Here he
There
goes.
we go,
That's the
second one, third one down.
Yeah, they're kind of jumping all in, though. A little bit of a separated jump because they're going to lose the Weaver first. Ogre's still alive. A big Mana Void. They get through the Storm and the Wisp, only losing the Alchemist as RDO, having used his BKB, now might be a little bit vulnerable, but Yuma's just way too tanky. Ogre finally is going to be taken down. It's a 3-for-2 trade. But Mr. Jeans and Yuma, they might look around for some more. No, they can't really go for any more kills.
Like,
we'll back off and continue pushing waves.
Storm could have lived there if he decided to go in like 2-3 seconds later. His full Lincoln Sphere was about to be delivered, and then he decided to jump in, which means that Career could not reach him. So a bit of unfortunate there. Has that Lincoln Sphere ready. So that's going to be one way to defend against Mana Void. They don't have too many stuff to pop the Lincoln's with. You have Unstable Concoction, Ogre, and the Yule Scepter and Void Spirit, which he's definitely not gonna use aggressively.
Yeah, no, it's just proven way too valuable as kind of gathering around and cutting enemy heroes underneath them to only be able to escape using Dissimulate. That's turned a fight or two. But promising stuff from Hokori in these engagements, I would say, Lacoste, especially now as we almost have this Eye of Scotty online for the AM. Just needs a little bit more for the point booster, but he's got so many stats now, close to 2,900 HP if he wants to turn on these strength treads.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty hard to take down. One mistake, I said that he should not die, but they overextended. That was a really weird fight from Hokori. Still, AM, he can carry this game. They need to draw out the fight, take out the Wisp. With Eye of Scotty, it's gonna be much easier, reduce that healing that he also provides for Luna. Stampede in.
Not bad, though. This was a smoke break, and we also did get to see that Blink Dagger in action from the Alchemist, so he finally has at least some utility now for the team. Now he's going to double back for the Medallion, but decided that they needed a little bit more initiation here to follow up the AM and the Void Spirit, so I kind of like that decision for the Blink first.
Yeah, you talked about how Blink Dagger maybe should have been a second item. Gotta agree there, you know, 2 Aghanim Scepters, that's cool, but you also want to play a bit more with the team, especially if you give Aghanim Scepter to your AM, who generally doesn't join the fights that early on. Maybe you're forcing him into a, you know, to draw a bad hand where, like, yeah, go in. And I think that was a part where they also decided to go in on a mid lane. AM dies. But still, they're in this game. Like, this game's far from over, even though it's 8k gold lead for NoPing this time around. AM about to hit level 18, so that's going to be a bit more damage coming up from Mana Void. Luna, like, she also has a decent amount of mana pool. Same goes for Wisp. Like, Rubik's pretty big, 1500. So needs to be careful.
Yeah, Rubik as well. He's pretty tanky, right? He's pretty survivable. He's got Ghost Scepter, he's got a Blink and a Yules, as well as, you know, a lot of valuable spells at his disposal to steal that are going to make him very, very difficult to catch. I believe, in my opinion, Hokori, they should they would do well not to really get kited out by him too much, because I think that would be a little bit of a waste of time for them. But wow, second Roche is basically immediately down. So it took them about no time to get through that one, with RDO having the full Daedalus now complete.
Yeah, Monster picked up the shard. Io bought the shard for himself, so that's going to be 1.75 second stun. I love that shard upgrade. I think it's very viable. It might be, I say that quite a lot, you know, but this might be one of the better shards out there.
That's interesting. I think it's one of the strongest situational ones, and it's gonna look so good against this draft, right? Because we have 3 or 4 heroes that are gonna blink in and immediately get stunned by Tether, and then they're just gonna get eaten alive by RDO. But there are some drafts, you know, like against ranged heroes, where it's not gonna look as strong. But this game it's definitely gonna look amazing, I would say.
Because they want to kill you first, pretty much. That's always the thing with Io, and what shard gives you is that protection that you need.
I've seen so many Storm Spirits, Embers. I've seen so many Spirits in general just get surprised by the fact that they blink and all of a sudden are stunned.
Oh, how did I get stunned?
Yeah. What is this, 2014? But something that's interesting as well from King Jungle's build is that he hasn't put a single point in the Spirits. He's actually maxing stats first.
Yeah, that's pretty common, I would say, especially when... Like, most of the time, it's all about that survival, but it's been pretty common for some times. I've seen mostly Spirits being picked up on offlane IOs, where you need that a bit more extra damage, where you're, like, diving a tier 1 tower, providing vision. Bloodlusted tower, very cool to see, very fast to go down.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Increasing that model size by 20%, unfortunately, does not help him live too much longer.
It takes 25% more damage. And that's just how it works.
Apparently so, is they're going to be first to jump the Ogre. Gardic is down, does have buyback. And they may need to use it here, because these structures, they're going to fall very quick. They fortify the wave. Bloodlust machine gun here on the tower is actually a little bit scary.
There's the buyback.
Here comes the buyback. Smoke from Hokori. There's a full Eye of Scotty and an Ogre Axe for AM. 3,200 HP, 29 armor, and close to 50% magic resist, 59% magic resist. So this is a very tanky AM. The problem is he going to live long enough, or can he even get his hands on these heroes in order to do all the damage he needs? That is going to be the test.
Void Spirit needs to jump the backline with AM. They need to focus the same target, and then it's going to be much easier. We can see the Blink Fragment being used once again. Luna.
So tanky as well, that fragment.
Yeah, still has Aegis for next 2 minutes. Full Butterfly Honor. Pretty hard to take down. Like, RDO had an amazing series so far. I don't believe that he died, because they only had 3 kills. Maybe he did. Maybe I just made that up.
Yeah. It was the last kill, remember?
Oh yeah,
They
you're
killed him and
correct.
called
Like,
GG.
they went in.
So.
Okay, so my point kind of ruined. Thank you, RDO.
Gardic, oh, he's not going to die back here, luckily for him. He did just buy back, so he'd have that extra 25 seconds. Yuma just saying hello to RDO, but realizing that there's a butterfly online makes this a little bit more difficult for him, especially as the Glaives continue bouncing around. There's the jump onto the back lines. They break through the Lincoln Sphere, and a nice 3-man silence. Yuma to follow up, a good control onto the Void Spirit. It's not going to be nearly enough damage, however, but RDO, he's got plenty of it. Dissemblate is out, and he can't go far enough away. Does not have the shard, so the beams will catch him. Yuma just chasing down this Storm Spirit, but they've already lost their own mid laner. Manta Style popped. No blink at the ready quite yet. Can they actually get a kill? Stolen Unstable Concoction is good damage, and another silence. They've got the kill. They actually get through him, and he does not have buyback here, Lacoste.
Yeah, he bought an Ogre Axe. I don't think in this situation it's justified. If he didn't, he would have had a buyback, and now with Luna plus Io, like Luna has a full butterfly. This might be just like 2 set of Raxes, possibly even just
Beautiful
a game.
stun. Yeah, especially as the Glaives continue bouncing around to everyone. They even find the Weaver, silence him up. Glaives continuing to bounce. He can't get off the time lapse. He's got buyback, needs to get back in here. They get through the Storm Spirit, though, as Mr. Jeans, with his buyback, gets a bit of damage in.
Still
This
30
Ogre
seconds on Aegis, so they will go for tier 3 tower. No need to dive, like they can just take it slowly. Void Spirit still very scary to fight into. Good Lotus Orb back.
Radiant's middle tower.
Yeah, still 15 seconds left. Definitely at least these 2 pairs of barracks. And they cannot get the third, of course, with the tier 2 tower still standing. I was about to ask you, do you think they'll go for the third one? And I'm glad I didn't, because you would have said absolutely not.
Yeah, I already checked the bottom. That's why I said 2 set of Raxes. I wanted to say like the game, but if they got like 1 extra kill, possibly 2, then they could have gone for tier 4 towers and end the game. Lotus Orb is available, but not enough mana for a Stampede.
Yeah, Monster, he's going to be ran down here. The Blink Fragment's keeping him at bay. Unstable Concoction will hold him down, and a kill for Yuma. So a pretty big one, 700 gold or 650 gold into his pocket. He's now just shy of buyback, but he's continuing to buy out here. Buyback is for losers, he says.
Might just lose the game off of that, because in the previous fight, they could have potentially saved 1 set of barracks, maybe 1 more on the top. But yeah, didn't happen. Bought Ogre Axe. I like what I see from Analog. He's going for big zip.
Yeah, Theo Lacoste, some miscommunication there as Theo Lacoste, he denies the DD rune that he was zipping towards.
What Theo needs to do right now is buy 2 Clarities and 3 Mangoes, because Stormspirit just spent like over 1,000 mana for that zip. To go back to my point about Analog, going for Aghanim Scepter, which is like pretty common when you play against AM. So no counterspell can be used. It's an AoE ability. Doesn't proc, so very good thinking right there.
Yeah, and it also synergizes pretty beautifully with your 25 talent. Usually when Storms are winning by this much, they'll opt to go for that right 25 talent for the Overlord attack bounce. And when you have a Cayenne Sange, when you do go for lots of stats like this Lincoln's, like this Orchid, you just do so much damage off of the Overload bounces, especially if you've got Ags and can kind of gather everyone together.
Yeah.
The budget black hole, as I like to call it.
And also Ceremonial Robe, neutral item that
Ooh, good
reduce. Like this is the best item on the Stormspirit if you have Ags as a tier 3 item. Once you get to tier 4 items, you know, then it's a bit of a different story.
Alright, so Yuma's got BKB now. It's on the way. Again, no buyback, so completely buying out for this. This will increase his raw HP close to, yeah, I was going to say 3,200, a little bit more. So again, a very tanky AM. But they managed to kill him once before. Now with BKB, he's a little bit tankier. Magic truly be damned in this game for this AM.
Let's see. Smoke from Hokori. What can they do? They know exactly where they are. Like, they're pinging it out. They're smoking into, but they're also climbing the high ground, which is not good. So, Gardic will get scouted.
Yuma sending a couple of illusions after them. Stampede as they find Gardic. He's going to just throw out his spells before he goes down. They only catch Monster here with the Aether Rim, but Yuma's in with the BKB active. They want to get through the Wisp. They got him. A big Mana Void as they silence up Analog, and they're going to get him down 2 here, Lacoste. Yuma, with the rest of the BKB, gets on whatever damage he can, and then blinks himself to safety. But a 2-for-2 trade is not all too bad, all things considered, because they did get the Storm. Big kill there.
That was nicely done. Like, I talked about the AM it's justified to go for a full BKB, but in that situation where they were defending like the high ground, buying that Ogre Axe was a bit of a mistake. And yeah, Storm Spirit, he dies. Like, Storm Spirit might start to think about getting a BKB. Like, Aghanim Scepter's fine, or they need ways to protect him. Because they can blow him up, like they just showed in the previous fight. Still, 20k gold lead. Luna is massive. Luna is insanely farmed to level 23. Elven Tunic, the Mischance, plus a Butterfly. And there we go. Like I talked about the items, Timeless Relic found. Storm Spirit will definitely pick up that one. Instead, it's one of the better items for Storm Spirit. And yeah, Storm Spirit, he swapped the BKB. He understands, like, Aghanim Scepter is shiny, it's very good, but I might need to like protect myself and not kill my whole team.
Yeah, exactly. Wisp as well died so quickly in that fight, so Wisp is still going to definitely have some issues as he builds into the Aeon Disc to try and prevent that, but I think Yuma, he's just going to have eyes only for him in this game. And something I wanted to point out, because yes, Luna is huge, but even if you just look at the difference in net worth, like, that is slightly deceiving, of course, because AM received, I think, 5k of his gold through his Alchemist, so the difference is even bigger than it looks.
Yeah,
You kind of account for that.
Yeah, exactly. But AM, he's also farming up. This is definitely a must-have item in the situation, not something that AM usually buys. But considering how farmed Luna is, and he needs to cut through that evasion, so going for MKB, I think that's completely justified.
Roshan, though, number 3, once again, it's going to have to go uncontested towards NoPing. This one's got a Refresher Shard on it. It's not going to be the Cheese, which would have been a little bit brutal to play into against the Storm Spirit. But now they are going to have 2 Stampedes at their disposal, as Centaur is going to be the one to pick this one up.
We can call him Stompede. S-T-W-O. Stompedes. I don't even know how to pronounce that. That was a bad one. Jesus Christ. My apologies to everyone who's listening. To everyone who I ever played with, my apologies again. So yeah, bit of a disconnect, Theo.
Yeah, they disconnected just because we had to dwell on that one.
Yeah, and it's making it even more awkward right now. Like, I want to talk about something else, but it's still stuck in my head. So Luna, she has that Aegis, which is good. You know, it's always going to be good for sieging. They need to take... Oh, look at that. How do you even draw these straight lines?
I honestly have never figured it out, but whenever the players do, it always and cover the map, it always makes it a little bit difficult to talk about things like wards, doesn't it? As they tend to get obstructed. I've got no idea how they do it. Maybe it's like on a second monitor or something. That's usually how it freaks out like that. Weaver almost has Blink. He only went for Shard, no Ags this game, full Vessel. He's been at least, you know, absorbing some of the fights. I really have to actually commend Gardic this game. He has just been throwing his body at enemies, like, basically with no care. And for a lot of the times, it's actually gotten them a lot of vision, which has been crucial in winning fights. As there they go.
And sometimes
Truly
it's hard
disappointing
to
map.
see a difference, whether someone's feeding or if he's doing a really good job and doing a position 5 job, considering the situations they're in right now. Like, they smoke, he understands, well, whatever, I'll just die, was forced to use a buyback, has that shard, the fire shield, doesn't do too much, but still, you know, at this point, your job is pretty much to use Bloodlust on your AM, use that fire shield, and try to get a couple of spells off.
Yeah, I'd say Fire Shield, the most use this game is maybe putting a Blink Dagger on cooldown, right? Rubik accidentally hits him with Fade Bolts. He gets hit with this little Fireball, can't blink. Same goes to the Centaur if he doesn't have the pipe, or the barrier up, rather. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it's not really all too big of an item, all things considered. Everyone's going to TP away. Yeah, Yuma does not dare cut another wave with a Luna bearing down. NoPing wasting no time, as they definitely know there's one tier 2 standing. They need to get towards that, and then they can look to siege the high ground. So Hokori are going to try and buy themselves as much time as they cut other waves. Heart purchase now for the Centaur, along with his shard, so we'll just watch his HP bar, because this could get pretty ludicrous, considering how that interacts.
Alright, it's gonna be definitely fun to watch. What you want to have with that is also overwhelming blank, but not enough gold for it yet. Luna, level 24, has a leveler, which is the best item pretty much for sieging at this point. Blink Fragment, trying to burn some mana. Not very effective against Luna at this point, considering that you have a Butterfly.
And down goes the tower. They make very quick work of these structures, Lacoste. As Hokori trying to find a fight outside the base, maybe trying to get the jump on NoPing, are going to find no luck there. Oh, big rune though for the Storm. He zips across the entire map, but it's the Arcane Rune into the bottle for him. And, you know, you said he switched up and to go for BKB during after the last fight.
He did, but he's also thinking, you know, can I get away with that? I still have cheese, which is not really something that... I mean, it could make the difference if you get the cheese off when he is about to pop the Mana Void. Could make the difference.
Yeah.
But we'll see. The game might end before they, you know, even get an item on Storm. We'll see.
Nice jump in. They're going to try and get through the Wisp. Lacoste, they don't quite have the damage, though. They're going to lose Mr. Jeans. He just got buyback off cooldown. He's going to go and utilize it as he looks to go in for a second round. RDO with Satanic. Going to lifesteal off of the dead Weaver, however, as Yuma sends in the illusions to do his dirty work, and he gets a lot of mana burned from Analog, but cannot get a kill.
Buyback from Elk.
From Monster, as there's the last buyback remaining out from Hokori. They got buyback left in the AM. They might need to use it because he's being controlled right now. They throw at least an unstable concoction, buys him a little bit of time to blink out as RDO using the BKB on the first life. Yuma onto the back lines is going to be taken down. There's a buyback committed from him. That's just about everything left in the tank from Hokori.
They can't leave
chase
Luna.
Down and
Luna
repel the
doesn't
high
have
ground
boots.
invaders.
Like, they need to fight around her. She has Aegis for the next 2 minutes still.
Storm, big zip on him, but they're going to be not able to get him, actually, as he zips right back out. There's a death at a dieback, actually, for the Alchemist. Gardic buys back, so now all 5 backs committed as Yuma deciding to try and get out of this fight. He's going to continue looking for the Storm Spirit, however, but Analog kind of kited him around. Throws out the Remnant as Analog now basically out of mana. He still has this Lincoln Sphere up and running, but they are going to be losing the base, and in fact, they lose the Ogre as well, as RDO focusing on the objectives here.
And now Centaur will just delete your tier 4 towers, clicks on the map so that the towers actually focus him, clicks on the hero. That's how it works with the Axe, with the Centaur, and the towers. AM going in.
Yeah, it's going to look at least for the Rubik, but the throne is exposed. Good damage here onto RDO. He already used the Satanic, actually. The Mana Void's not going to be enough damage to get through him, as RDO is going to have to use his second life here just to look to pick off the throne. There's a DD rune in the bottle now for Storm, so expect a long distance
Luna
zip.
has a BKB. He's just going to end the game.
Yeah, she is. Focusing down the objectives as Storm kites them out a little bit in that last team fight. It was a pretty cute strategy, Lacoste. I thought it could have worked here, to be honest, as they give the AM the X, they give the Void Spirit the X, but that one overextension in the Tier 1 tower just changes so much about this game for Hokori, doesn't it?
Yeah, I said it was game losing. They could have, you know, maybe even win this game. They did some really good adjustments in the game number 2, where they picked a Spirit Vessel carrier. They had much stronger lanes. They pulled up like the old strat with the Alchemist. In the end, it didn't work out, but shows that Hokori as a team, like they can adjust to a situation and realize what was wrong in like 15 minutes, which is a really good sign. But we got to give credit to NoPing. Like, they played it extremely well. RDO 0 deaths in this one death, as you mentioned in the previous game. Like, just a top-notch performance. I don't think you can allow to give this team IO Luna strat, because they really know how to play with it.
Yeah, they first picked it twice, and just never seemed like it was ever addressed here by Hokori. But either way, NoPing, they don't fail on the execution, right? They pick it up, and they know how to play it, and they're going to use it to get the 2-0 victory. That's going to do it for us here, as we're going to go over to a short break. And when we return, we're going to have Avo Plus and the panel break down this series a little bit more for you guys.